Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Stefan and I live, work, and travel in my self-built camper van, Ganapati. Since we're in the holiday spirit, I thought I would talk about 5 things I do to keep warm in the van. For most of us, out there is pretty cold, except some of the people that live in countries where winter starts in June. You know who you are. This could also be a very good video for you when the winter actually starts. Let's get into it. Let's start with the most obvious, and that is insulation. In the areas that I don't have windows, which is a lot of area where I have windows, like the ceiling, the inside of the walls, the lower walls, I did insulate the van pretty heavy duty. The ceiling has foam board insulation, the walls have denim insulation, and denim insulation is basically made out of old recycled jeans. It almost has the same properties as the fiberglass insulation, except the fiberglass. Basically, it's a lot easier to work with when you insulate the van. In the tight spots of the van, I do have foam insulation. Not my favorite thing to work with, but it's there just to get some insulating in the really hard parts to get with the denim insulation otherwise. Last but not least, everything is sealed with Reflectix insulation, and I also had like Reflectix tape that I sealed all of the seams with. By doing that, I'm hoping that no moisture will come in, which in a small space like this, it'll happen, especially during the winter. It doesn't really matter of the heating source that you have, it's just a small place, and that's just the truth. If you were wondering, of course I have insulation for the windows. I just didn't spend too much time on it today because I did make some videos in the past, and you can check those out up here. And the only thing that I should do as insulation is this vent that I don't have insulation for, but so far it hasn't been a problem, so I'm not too worried about it. Second measure I take is I stock up on propane and butane. My stove takes both. Why do you ask? Because I tend to cook a lot more hot meals in the winter. I tend to make a lot more hot beverages, like a lot of hot tea, hot coffee in the morning, which you just saw me do at the beginning of the video. Basically, when I'm stealth camping or in the city or I'm just in the van, I usually use butane, which is just a canister that pops into the stove really quickly. You latch it in and then you're good to go. The propane does have a hose that needs to go from the stove to the propane. It doesn't take much longer, but it just takes a lot more space. So basically, I either use the propane when I'm camping for a while and I'm cooking outside, and if I use the propane inside, then it's because I just don't put the stove away. I just leave it on the counter. That way I have it available every time. I do make sure at all times, actually, except when I'm driving, that one of my vents, which is the smaller vent that I have in the van, is propped open just a little bit, just so I have that peace of mind that I do have fresh air coming in or the propane going out. You know, I just have that oxygen available at all times. Third measure I take, stock up with blankets. So this is my first blanket when I started in the van, and it's kind of thin, so it's not the best, but then I got smarter, and then last year I got a down comforter, and what a difference did that make. I can go under both blankets now, and it could be 40 degrees in the van, which has happened a few times or many times, and I'm pretty comfortable underneath there. It's really good, but it's only underneath where it's comfortable, and then it's not, you know, as soon as you get out of the bed, it's not that comfortable anymore. This also brings me to my fourth tip, which is I do have thermals that I put underneath. I have a beanie if I need to. It usually is okay. I just don't like to sleep with a beanie because my head gets really itchy. I do have thicker socks that I love. If you get anything out of this video, I feel like if you keep your feet warm is a must. Once your feet get cold, it's kind of hard to warm back up. So get like a really good pair of thick socks, and You'll thank me later. Last but not least, if you have been following me for a while, you know that I just installed a diesel heater a few months ago, and it's a game changer. I also have a diesel heater video where I installed it and just kind of talk about it if you're interested to see more. It's a 5 kilowatt Chinese dry air heater, and it came with a 10-liter tank. So I made an installation error myself on the diesel tank, so I had to change it. So I took the opportunity to actually also order a bigger one. So the old one was 10 liters and then the new one is 15 liters. Much better. If I do need to sit in the van for the whole day when it's really cold, I'll just run it as I need to. I'll run it for a bit, get it up to temperature, then it's, turn it off. With the 15 liters, I can safely say that I can run it continuously for 3 nights and 4 days before I actually run out of fuel. Like I said, I don't run it the whole day during the day, but if I were to run it the whole day during the night for 3 nights, I can make it by. Otherwise, this has been fantastic for me. I really love this thing. It allows me to go to places that otherwise I wouldn't have gone if I didn't have a diesel heater. I know it could be expensive for some of you. If you think about it, it's not a lot more expensive than a, let's say, Olympian Wave 3 heater, which runs on propane. That heater actually takes away from your oxygen. It creates moisture, but there's a catch with the dry air diesel heater. You do need a power system to be able to power it, as opposed to the Olympian Wave, where it's just an ignition system. Once you get it burning, it doesn't need any other source of power to be running. Like I said, I don't believe those are super safe for a small space, but if you're gonna spend the same money on a diesel heater, running it just a little bit off a small Jackery battery or anything like that, not sponsored, will do just fine. Happy holidays, everyone, and thank you for coming along on today's video. If you enjoyed it, if you got something out of it, don't forget to hit that like button. Consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And if you want to see more van life related content, there's links everywhere. All right, I'll see you in the next one.